Hi, I'm Ryan Nickel, CTO at DSA Ocean. Today I want to talk about applying material properties and making a ballpark estimate for pretension for a spread mooring in ProteusDS. So previously we had set up, using the top mooring assistant, a spread mooring configuration with a 20 meter by 20 meter box barge. Now we're going to go through and apply material properties and make a little bit of an adjustment for the mooring lines as a first step in pretensioning. I'm just going to make a copy of this project, so we can go copy paste, and we're going to go materials. I'm calling this barge materials just to kind of save the progress as I go along. So now, currently the top mooring assistant uses the older style cable properties specification, cable segment mode 0. So one thing we're going to do is go through and change this to 1. And this is the new way of doing things with a state generator and data file. It's a little bit more robust. So you can resolve follower properties. It's going to comment out the cable segment property here. And we'll need to do that for every mooring line for the moment. Though expect the top mooring assistant in the future to replace these with cable segment mode 1, so you won't have to go through this. So right now, if we look at the state for these properties, you'll get a little notification message saying that there isn't any segment properties found for this, but it's going to generate it for you automatically, so just click OK. If we want to change the properties for the elements, you just have this default property. Well, there's nothing in here right now. So we're going to play with a chain and Dyneema mooring for this system. First, we need to get those material properties in our project. I'm going to borrow some from the ProteusDS library. So import, open, and I've got the ProteusDS library files here. We'll go Dyneema rope. Just for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to pick 50 millimeters. And then we're also going to open the studless chain, get 40 millimeters chain just to work with something for this tutorial. So import chain properties. Very good. Okay. So first thing is we want to work with 2 shots of chain. That's a pretty standard length that chain comes in. It's about 60 meters. So we go to state. And what we're going to do is, remember, node 0 is the fair lead, so that means that node n is all the way down here, and that's the order that it looks at these material properties. Node 0 is starting at the top, and node n is at the other end. So we'll insert a segment afterwards. We're going to say we want to use chain here, and the unstretched length is going to be 2 shots of chain. It's about 60. I'm going to adjust the number of elements here. Maybe something like 5 elements might be good, but we can adjust that later. And then we're going to change this to be the Dyneema section. So we've got Dyneema coming off the barge, and then chain near the end for sort of this kind of compliant mooring. So we've set the material properties. One thing we want to do, though, is make a slight adjustment to the line, because it's taught here, and that's fine. We can resolve what the static loads are going to be like in a simulation, but I think we can do a little bit better. So what we'll do for a mooring like this, we'll take a look at how the deflection changes when we relax the cable length to the offset of the anchor. And all we're going to do is pick 2 options here. Make sure height above the seabed is 0 for node n, as it already is. Eject nodes from seabed if applicable. That's a handy one. And what we're going to do is just give a tiny bit of extra cable length, 1.01 compared to the offset. And notice there's this little bit of sag here now. If you play with this number, you can see it's visually, this is very qualitative, it's very slack. But this is a lot better than this is fully taught. The pretension is going to be way too high. But something like this, 1.01, looks about right. as a starting point. And we're going to show you later how to fine-tune this to the pretension you actually want. So we'll go, okay, so this is the geometry. It's going to make a little message here saying, oh, it just had to make a slight correction because of ejecting the nodes from the seabed. And we're going to adjust the cable length to 154. I'm going to just go, okay, yeah, so that's just the geometric length along here. Now, can't click apply yet because the number of elements and the material length of the elements doesn't match up with the geometry. And how do we deal with that? Well, here we keep the chain properties because we know that's going to be 2 shots of chain from the anchor up here, and so this Dyneema wire, the line length, is what we're going to make adjustments to. So all we do is we make sure we click on resolve on the row with Dyneema, and you'll see this unstretched length change. Go resolve. We got 94 and 60, so then the total 154 matches up with the geometry 154. And we go, okay. So, and you can see there's different sort of mesh resolution for Dyneema and chain. Of course, you can make adjustments based on that. It's not a bad starting point. And so now we just go through the same process with all the other ones, all the other mooring lines. So we'll go to state on this one. This is because we're changing from the old cable state generator, just gives a notice saying, hey, I didn't find any segment properties. Go to edit. Let's change the geometry first. So eject nodes from Seabed. First we do that. Go 1.01. Go OK. It says because of ejecting the nodes from the Seabed, there's a slight length change. We're going to go OK. So 154. Now we got to specify the geometry. So first thing we're going to do is change this to Dyneema. I'm going to add another segment after that. It's going to be chain. Remember, we want 2 shots of chain by the anchor. We were going with 5 there. And it still says that the line length based on the elements that we've assembled is different than the geometry, so we've got to line that up. So, but we don't want to change the chain, so let's resolve the Dyneema length that we need, and the geometry and the number of elements is all matching up. Great, so apply. So those 2 mooring lines are done. Looking good, a little bit more realistic. So we're not getting any error messages when we look back at the, or warnings when we look back at the ones that we've already adjusted because it's set up properly using the new state generator. And we just go through and do the other 2 mooring lines. So state, okay, edit the curve, change this to 1.01 and eject the nodes. That's all we need to do. There's a little adjustment in length. Material properties, 2 shots of chain, and then adjust the Dyneema, apply. That one's looking good, and we just got 1 more to do. State. .01, eject nodes from the Seabed. There's a minor adjustment in length. Make a new segment. Chain, 2 shots, 60 meters, about 5 elements. Make some adjustments to the Dyneema length. And we're looking good. Now this should set us up well to get something close to a reasonable pretension for the mooring. But next up, we're going to show how to really fine-tune that pretension level in the mooring. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.